Merry me, everyone. I know I've been doing more vlogs than usual lately, and so this isn't exactly a vlog, but I wanted to do a video to talk about what's going on astrologically and just seasonally right now, and to share some of what I am planning to do, because there's a lot of really intense energies right now. We are approaching a solar eclipse and then a lunar eclipse. It's eclipse season. Mercury retrograde as well. We've just come off Venus retrograde, and now we're going into a Mercury retrograde. They're almost back to back. And Mabon is coming up. And Mabon is when the dark becomes more predominant than the light. The dark, as in the night, darkness, becomes more predominant than the light, as in the sunlight and the daylight. But along with that, I feel like, and many pagans and Wiccans do as well, that there's more to it than just that. That it's the feminine energies become more predominant than the masculine energies, or the introverted energies become more predominant than the outward extroverted energies. And so usually around this time of year with Mabon, I like to do reflection anyway. I like to do a lot of reflection, try to really tune in, do some extra meditations, and sometimes the weather is still nice enough to be doing it outside. I hope that it is, because I find that really helpful, and there's a sort of mystical, magical, I mean it's always magical, but a different type of magical energy in nature around this time, I feel. So, where do I start? I've been listening to astrologers and other people talk more about eclipses this past year. I really hadn't paid too much attention to them in the past. There's eclipses every year in the autumn, or around autumn, and spring, or around spring. So it's eclipse season. This year, the solar eclipse is happening, the sun in Virgo, and the moon in Virgo, which Virgo, the Virgin, which Virgin isn't, the original meaning of Virgin is quite different than what it means today in this culture. It actually referred to women, feminine energy in women who were independent and powerful. Had nothing to do with chaste and non-sexual activity. It had nothing to do with somebody who hadn't had sex. In fact, it was actually embrace. The sexuality of it was actually embrace, and sex and sexuality, the energy of that was used in healing. So a virgin was actually somebody who wasn't married, who was independent, strong, a shapeshifter, medicine woman, sexual healer, healed, a high priestess, somebody who healed and was of strong feminine energy. So Virgo is a very interesting sign. I've said in other videos, I really love Virgo energy. It has to do with getting down to earth, getting down to the details, organizing things, service, and cleanliness, cleansing, and other things as well. And so I think this is really very cool for this to be, the eclipse to be happening in the sign, and Mabon following shortly after. Mabon happens when the sun is in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, which is a feminine energy as well. At least that's how it's commonly known and called in Western astrology. Venus ruling values and beauty and love. Libra is a sign of balance, of harmony, of partnership. So I think it's really cool and really powerful energies coming up. So Mercury retrogrades, for those of you who don't know, Mercury retrograde, I'm going to try to make this really short, but generally if you look at the energy, Mercury is a planet that moves very quickly. It's faster than the Earth's rotation, it's faster than Venus's rotation, and it goes retrograde 3 times a year. So for the rest of the time, if you think about, well, first of all, Mercury it governs over communication, travel, time, maybe some other things, but those are pretty big things in our lives. And so if you think of it, the energy when it's not in retrograde the rest of the time, it's like it's moving forward, right? And then when it goes retrograde, it goes station first, kind of pauses, and then it starts going backwards. So the reason that people have a lot of trouble, some people have a lot of trouble with Mercury retrograde, is because they've gotten used to moving in this direction and they're expecting to move in this direction, and they keep trying to move in this direction when the energies of the universe are going this way. So you wind up with resistance when you're trying to push forward, but the planet, in astrological terms, the planet is moving in the opposite direction. There's a resistance. So rather than moving forward with starting new projects and pushing ahead the way that we normally do in those arenas, especially of communication, travel, and time, looking to the future and so forth, the energy in the universe is suggesting that we stop doing that we look back over what we've done and we edit things, we tweak things, we basically anything that begins with re, so relax, we revise, we reassess, we rewrite, we anything that begins with re, really. So we remember. So a lot of times people come up from the past, people who were in your past pop up out of nowhere because there's like unfinished business there. And the retrograde phase allots time for us to go back and to tweak things, and change things that we did differently the first time around in order to revise them in order to more to perfect or to better the situation. It lets us. I always think of it like a book, like writing a book. You're writing a book, and you keep going forward with it, chapter after chapter. At some point, you stop and you look back over what you did with fresh eyes, and you can rework it, you can change it, you can experiment around with, okay, if I change it so this character does this, then how will that look in the future? So it allows us time to go back and redo things, allows us to rewind and tweak things so that when we start going forward again, we have made improvements, ideally, and we can move into the future with a more perfected, having looked at something twice and changed it a little bit. It allows us that second chance in some situations. So a lot of times people come up from the past because it's like something, it would be better if something else was said or communicated or done in relation to you're interacting with this person, or they have a bit of information for you. There's stuff inside of you that is best reflected from this person. And so it's not always people, though. It can be situations coming up and all different kinds of things that arise from the past. Anyways, so I just wanted to also give a couple little feng shui tips that I have for Mercury retrogrades. I'm not a feng shui consultant, so do them at your own risk, but I think it's helpful to clean out your purse or your wallet, because that has to do with, in feng shui, that has to do with our ability to communicate. And I forget why, but it does. It's stuff that we carry around with us all the time. So if you have a bunch of receipts and just old stuff in there, clearing that out allows room for chi to flow and not get blocked, so you can communicate easily or more easily. Another one is to clean out your online stuff. If you have, profiles like Facebook or whatever you're on social media, or your email contacts, etc., and there's stuff laying around just taking up space, contacts that you're never going to contact again, people that have just faded out of your life, or people who are causing you more problems than it's worth, or drama, or negativity, and you want to cut it out of your life. To clear that out and get rid of all of that old stuff, because it allows for I'm gonna put my pens down, but it allows for, whenever they're in feng shui in life, whenever a vacuum is created, the universe will fill that vacuum. So when you clear that out and you make room for new things, if you're using the law of attraction, magic, etc., you can bring in what you want. Ideally, you'll bring in what you want and what's good, and making room for it allows it to come to you more easily and more quickly. So because Mercury is a planet that deals with communications, I feel like purse and wallet and online avenues of communication, especially because Mercury does deal with with technology a little bit as well, like emails and Facebook and all of that. Clearing out and making that vacuum is really good, because when it goes direct and the energies shift, it's a new phase, it's ready for newness. So it's good to do that. I think it's also really good to finish up old projects that have been lingering for a while. If you've been working on something and it's been a long time, you're doing little bits at a time, or whatever, you've gotten stuck, it's a really great time to go back to that and finish it up, tie up all those loose ends, have it done. So that creates room for the new as well when Mercury goes direct again. And what else was I going to say? A good time to go back and edit things. If you write blogs or anything at all in your life, you want to go back and edit it, it's a good time to do that. So those are my feng shui tips that I wanted to share. Also, you can look at what sign or signs Mercury is retrograding through, because that's flavor, specific flavor to that Mercury retrograde. So, for example, this year Mercury is retrograding through the sign of Libra. Libra, I just went over, dealing with partnerships, dealing with balance and harmony, beauty as well, fairness, justice, etc. So if you don't have time to just do a general revisal, reworking, tying up all of your projects, etc., focusing on the Libra specific things, you may find a better flow with that, a better ease and grace that might be better supported by the universe to start with that, even if you intend to do everything. Tends to I often find it helpful. I mean, I do sometimes struggle with Mercury retrogrades as well and have things just, feel like I'm beating my head up against the wall and not getting anywhere. But I have found that in paying attention to what sign it's in and when the shadow phases are and the Mercury retrograde phase, and applying this stuff, doing this stuff, spending more time going back and doing the editing, the revisal, the tying up of old projects, the reflecting, the etc., dealing with things in the past that haven't had closure, giving them closure, working towards closure. I have found it to be more fun. I actually have fun with Mercury retrogrades a lot of the time. I've found myself to be able to be more productive and actually get a lot done during Mercury retrograde and feel better, feel a greater relief. So I found a lot of success with it. So I wanted to share that. I also just wanted to talk about how, I don't know, what else do I want to talk about? The eclipse. Okay, so like I said, I hadn't really been paying attention to eclipses very much at all before this year. But it seems that eclipses, some people say the energy is in effect for 3 years, some people say 6 months. Well, it's about 6 months between each eclipse season. And so we had an eclipse back in, was it late February or March? I think maybe it was March. And I definitely felt a shift of energy with that. And I definitely felt it this whole time, that a certain current or flavor to my life and what's been going on. And I'm so ready. I'm so ready for it to shift again. But I've heard some people suggest that you make intentions, especially with, or particularly with the solar eclipse, because it's a new moon, and new moon intentions, new phases, and eclipses are amplified new moons or full moons, whatever it is. So lunar eclipses are full moons, solar eclipses are new moons. So it's like an amplified new moon. It's like a new moon times 3. And so I've heard people say, give the suggestion to make intentions for the next 6 months. So I think that I'm going to be doing that. I've kind of drafted out some of my intentions for this phase. And, the sign that it's in, again, you can look at the sign that it's in. You can look at where it falls in your chart. If you get your chart, and you can figure that out and add those things in to make it more specifically harmonized with the energy. So being about Virgo, some of my eclipse goals have to do with health and organization. You can hear my kitty in the background. What are you talking about? I'm making a video. You want to come out here? Kitty. Anyway, I just wanted to share that, I guess. And also, I want to talk briefly about Mabon. Like I said, it's when the feminine energy or the introverted energy becomes more predominant than the extroverted energy. And I find it a really magical time. As I mentioned in my rant video, and maybe another one, it has been sort of wiped off the map in this culture. It's been kind of ignored and about it, because the Christian wheel, if you want, with the holidays and things, mimics the older ways, the pagan ways, all the way around the wheel. I mean, even Lammas, with going back to school around Lammas time, Lu, the god of craft and skills, and going back to school line up. So all the way around the wheel, but there's nothing around the autumn equinox, nothing. And that's the only one that I see nothing around, and I think they did that intentionally because we live in a patriarchal herding culture, and it is in the best interest of the patriarchal herding culture to suppress the divine feminine and to suppress the divine masculine largely as well, because the divine masculine and the divine feminine work in harmony in a divine manner. But specifically the divine feminine, which has to do with our intuition, with listening to our hearts, with being receptive, with compassion, a number of things. So, I don't know, I guess I just wanted to point out that Mabon has a lot to do with the divine feminine, and it has to do with the start of the divine feminine's reign in a way, with it being more predominant than the masculine energies, and accentuating them and connecting with them and working with them and so forth, is in season, if you want. So I like to do, like I said, a lot of reflecting around Mabon, with the eclipses and Mercury retrograde and all of that. I have a number of things that I'm intending to do, along with making my 6-month intentions, my new moon intention, my eclipse intentions. I'm also planning to try to get a lot of things organized, get my contacts better organized, and work with my health, work with some of my destructive habits, healing them and curing them. And also, I think that I'm going to do the divine feminine, the liberation of the divine feminine, and the liberation of the female beings on this planet, that ritual that I've been talking about for months and months. I think that that's going to occur around Mabon. I'm going to do that and release that probably around Mabon. And that it's just, been waiting for that kind of to line up. So I'm sorry this is so long. I thought maybe this would be shorter, but trying to think about anything else that I wanted to add. With Samhain being the next Sabbat as well, after Mabon, I really, if you watch my blog, last year my blog, I really tend to get myself pretty busy, because I kind of tend to dive into the past and try to do Mercury retrograde, or any planet retrograde really, the personal planets, type of work where I look in the past, I look to the past year and try to wrap things up and bring it to a closure and figure out what I need to leave in the past, this past year, what I need to bring forward, what lessons, what techniques, etc. I need to bring forward. So I will probably be doing that as well. I'm intending to make a Samhain, which is New Year prep list, where I write out specific things that I'm gonna do, tag, whatever. But I don't want to, Samhain is so big, being the new year, that I tend to start doing this stuff early, looking through the whole year, looking through my journals, all of that kind of stuff. I tend to do that early. But I don't want to overshadow Mabon like the Christian holidays have done, and what's become popular in culture, what's become pop culture. Because I think Mabon is really extremely important and deserves more of our attention and recognition and devotion. So if you would like to talk to me about Mabon, I would love to connect with people and try to make Mabon a more into our awareness, more of a spiritual practice, give it more of our energies. So I would love to hear what you are doing for Mabon and your thoughts on the topic. Please share. And thank you all for all your comments, likes, shares in the past. They've been greatly appreciated. please feel free to keep doing that. Also, I'm now on Patreon, so if you want to support me on Patreon, thank you. That's awesome. The link is down below in the description. And I guess that's going to wrap it all up. So, Merry Part and Merry Meet Again.